Good afternoon, everyone, or good evening, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Langer at the Mic Live, our Cowboys versus Washington football team post-game show. The Cowboys lose 41-16, getting absolutely blown out by the Washington football team at home on Thanksgiving. And that was the worst loss of the season by far. Because here are the Cowboys coming in off of this win, hard fought, comeback win against Minnesota on the road, following their bye. Offense looks like it's clicking. Defense looks like they're starting to play well enough to keep the Cowboys in games. And then they gradually over the course of this game just lost their mojo. They just lost their vibes to the point where here they are at this peak of coming again, just flying high, coming off the Minnesota win. And right off the gate, with DeMarcus Lawrence and Randy Gregory teaming up to sack Alex Smith and then forcing a 3-and-out right off the bat. And then, gradually over the course of the game, just getting worse and worse and worse to the point that they were at when they lost to Arizona and lost to Washington the first time. And gave up 300 rushing yards to the Cleveland Browns. Like, that's how this game went for the Cowboys. And it was really, to me, the worst loss of the season. So, and they basically laid a fat egg, even though it's Thanksgiving and not Easter. So, but yeah, I was just so dead wrong coming into this game because I really thought the Cowboys would show up and play hard in this game against Washington. I thought they were going to rally behind Markus Paul and beat Washington. But and like I said, they did at first, but set up with and also not to mention the huge Leighton Vander Esch tackle on Antonio Gibson on second down. And then again, the Gregory sack and DeMarcus Lawrence pressure that set up the Gregory sack. And then over time, gradually the vibes just were killed for the Cowboys in this game because of self-inflicted wounds, really. And yeah, so we're going to talk about the four things in this game that I saw that really just made the Cowboys deteriorate over the course of this game. So number one was the injury to Zack Martin. It was announced as a calf injury, but he was declared out right away. It looked even worse, honestly. It looked like the back of his knee or his hamstring or something, which could mean ACL or MCL or PCL or some kind of knee. It looked like a knee injury at first, but the fact that it's a calf injury, I thought maybe it could be a torn Achilles, but I saw someone on Twitter mention at me that something popped in his knee or something. Anyway, it was just that's what put the Cowboys. That was the first thing. That was the Zack Martin injury. And of course, before that, the Cam Irving injury. So here are the Cowboys offensive line, finally with some continuity, with, again, Cam Irving at left tackle, Connor Williams left guard, Joe Looney in the middle at center. It was Connor McGovern at right guard and Zack Martin at right tackle. And they're just a 5-man unit, finally playing 3-4 games in a row with some continuity, feeding off each other. And obviously, because the Cowboys just can't have any nice things in 2020, Zack Martin and Cam Irving gets hurt. So that's the first thing. That's not really self-inflicted, but that to me is like, okay, now the Cowboys have to switch up the way they call the game offensively a little bit. So yeah, that's the first thing. Then after that, so in the first half, the entire first half, I wouldn't even say that 4th and inches misconversion play. I'll get to that in a little bit, but I wouldn't even point that too much as a thing that killed the Cowboys' vibes because the Cowboys were down only 17-13 at the half with getting the ball back. So it's like, okay, they have a chance to drive the ball, maybe kick a field goal, make it 17-16, or maybe even score a touchdown. But they have a chance coming out of the half to now to basically, punch back in the game, right? But what happens? First possession, second. It was at that point, I think Zeke only had 5 carries in the game, by the way, in the first half. And surely enough, he gets the ball coming out right at the beginning of the second half, fumbles. 5th fumble of the season. So yeah, so that was the second thing, the Ezekiel Elliott fumble. Third thing, CeeDee Lamb drop. Fourth thing, the fake punt. And we'll get into each of them, but starting again with Ezekiel Elliott. I mean, the Cowboys right now, they have an Ezekiel Elliott problem. They really do, because he's a $90 million running back. He lost his 5 fumbles this year. It was his 5th lost fumble this year. In this game, he rushed 10 times, 32 yards, 3.2 yards per carry, longest run of 8. And the one time he broke off a long run, of course, was called back by a holding penalty. So at least I would say in this game, at least he outran Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard did have that really nice play where he tried to run through, I think it was off tackle on that third and short play, or was it the third and short or the fourth? No, it was the third and short play, bounced off right tackle, paused, came back and ran it to the outside. It was a great effort to pick up the 1.5 yards needed for the first down in that situation, but he finished the game with 3 rushes for 12 yards, average of 3, whereas Zeke finished 10 rushes, 32 yards, 3.2 per carry, and a long of 8. So at least in this game, Ezekiel Elliott outrushed Tony Pollard for the first time since probably the Eagles game, maybe even before. So you guess that's still good. But Ezekiel Elliott is on a $90 million contract, and he's fumble prone. I don't know if that's something that's just isolated to 2020, but he's prone to fumbling. And and if you're going to fumble like that, at least Adrian Peterson back in the day, Adrian Peterson would then turn around and rush for 150 yards or 200 yards and just break off long runs. But Ezekiel Elliott, as I've said many times before, he can't do that. So the Cowboys have an Ezekiel Elliott problem, and they can't get out of his contract without taking a massive cap penalty until I believe 2022. So yeah, the Cowboys have a really big Ezekiel Elliott problem right now. And even though I have his, even though he's right here, it's still a really big Ezekiel Elliott problem. So yeah. And also, like I said, so that was the Ezekiel Elliott. But then the CeeDee Lamb drop after the Jalen Smith interception. By the way, Terry McLaurin himself might have saved this game for the Washington football team, just tackling Jalen Smith after that interception. Because then the Cowboys, they run Ezekiel Elliott for a loss of 2. And then they run this reverse play, which, okay, I think it was set up to be a run option play for CeeDee Lamb, who took the reverse. And I think he was supposed to throw it to Dalton in the end zone, but it wasn't there. So he took it back, or he did throw it. But I feel like he should have just thrown it away there if it wasn't there. But instead, he took a loss of like 5 or 6 yards. And then on third down, very next play, Dalton made a hell of a throw. He just stepped up in the pocket, fired it right at CeeDee Lamb, who made a body catch. He made a Terrence Williams type of catch or a Michael Gallup type of catch. And it's, and that was a drop, and the Cowboys had to settle for a field goal instead of tying it up at 2020. But besides that, the wide receivers, they were really good. Amari Cooper led the way with 6 receptions, 112 yards, including that 54-yard score in the first half. Michael Gallup went 6 receptions for 42 yards. CeeDee Lamb had hit the worst game, I would say, or one of his worst games as a Cowboy so far. He went 5 for 24, but just again, the misplays that he had every time that, he tried running it on a jet sweep or something, it wasn't there for CeeDee Lamb today. And yeah, just they were isolating Ronald Darby in coverage. So they were looking for, they had the right idea in mind. They were trying to get the right matchups. But again, I feel like CeeDee Lamb, that drop especially, was the third thing that just took the wind out of the Cowboys' sails. And then, last but not least, what the heck was that fake punt call? What in the heck was that fake punt call? I mean, there were over 10 minutes remaining. You're only down 20-16. You're deep in your own territory. And I would say the Dallas defense was actually playing okay until that point. Keep in mind, Alex Smith passed for under 200 yards in this game. And by the first half, he was averaging, I think it was under 4 yards per attempt or under 5 yards per attempt in the first half passing. And at that point, the Washington football team, they were running the ball okay. Like Antonio Gibson and Peyton Barber were getting 4 yards a carry, but they weren't getting 10 yards a carry. But so the point is, the defense was actually playing well until that point where they called the fake punt. And I don't know what the heck the plan was with that fake. It wasn't even 4th and 2. It was 4th and 10, deep in your own territory. I think I understand even the concept, because I feel like if the Cowboys defense was playing the way it was earlier this season, where they just couldn't stop anybody, then sure, okay, go for it if you're at that point in the game. But the Cowboys defense was actually playing okay to that point. So that's what I just don't understand, why they went for that fake punt at that time in the game. And surely enough, the very next play, Antonio Gibson takes it to the house. So yeah, coaches deserve a lot of credit for that one. I mean, like I said, Kellen Moore, I don't think so much Kellen Moore called a bad game, but just I feel like when you talk about, managing the game and allowing your team, putting your team in a position to win and play at its best, with that fake punt and the 4th and inches call also, the Cowboys coaching staff put the Cowboys in position to fail. And I have a real question here. How good of a special teams coach has John Fossil been this year? Has he really been that good? If you weigh all the good special teams plays versus all the bad special teams plays, or the failed special teams plays this year. Sure, you had the beautiful CJ Goodwin pass, or Cedric Wilson pass to CJ Goodwin across the field against Pittsburgh a couple weeks ago. Sure, that was fun. But you've also had blocked field goals. You've also had there was the fake field goal that Pittsburgh almost got on you for not covering the I forget who it was that got wide. I think it was Juju or someone got wide open in that Pittsburgh game. You've had the failed punts in the Atlanta game. You had the failed punt in this one. So how good of a special teams coach has John Fossil really been? I'm not saying we should fire John Fossil after this year. I'm just being real here and asking and questioning whether his, the juice or the change to special teams that he's brought has really been good this year. I would say not. But then 0 for 3 in the red zone as well, and 3 missed fourth down opportunities. I keep saying when you have 2nd and 1 or third or fourth and less than 1, just run, sneak it, run it up the middle. And if the defense stops you, bravo. Good job on defense. They get paid big bucks too to play well in defense. So you know what? Give them credit where credit is due. If they prevented you from gaining 1 yard as an offense, as an NFL offense, even with a banged up offensive line against that front, as an NFL offense, you should be able to pick up 1 yard 9 out of 10 times. Again, I forget what the exact analytic stats are, but still, I like my chances just sneaking it up the middle. And it worked when they did it. When they snuck it up the middle with Andy Dalton, they picked it up. So I don't understand why that's not the call on every single 3rd or 4th and 1. What's with this fancy, and especially 4th and inches? 4th and inches, that means you need to go barely, the screen here is a 32-inch screen. You don't have to go the length of my monitor here. You don't have to get that far to pick up a first down. So just sneak it up the middle. And if the defense stops you, then bravo to them. Good for them. They made a great play. And if that's how you're going to turn the ball over on downs, so be it. And with that being said, though, again, I did mention Andy Dalton. I honestly don't blame Andy Dalton in this one. Again, he didn't give the Cowboys necessarily a chance to win, I would say, but he also didn't cost the Cowboys the game. He was 25 for 35, 215 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception with a rating of 84.8. And like I said, just with the big drops really affected his stats, because that could have very well been 2 touchdowns and maybe not even the interception if the Cowboys are in the game late like that, or could have been, I don't know. But just, I think Dalton was definitely not the problem in this game. And just another thing I was dead wrong about was I really thought the Cowboys would be able to slow the run game. I was mostly wrong about, but not entirely, because the Cowboys are actually not that bad, again, until the fake punt on defense. They were forcing Washington to dink and dunk, and they were not getting they were giving up 4 yards a carry about to Antonio Gibson, Peyton Barber, and J.D. McKissic, but they weren't getting gashed until that fake punt. But surely enough, they got gashed in the end, and Antonio Gibson went 20 carries, 115 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, along with 5 receptions and 21 yards. Peyton Barber, meanwhile, 11 rushes for 57 yards. So yeah, the Cowboys pretty much got gashed, by the end of the game. And on the bright side, though, the thing that I was right about is that the defensive line was going to continue to play well, or decently well. DeMarcus Lawrence was a huge force out there. Randy Gregory was a huge force out there. DeMarcus Lawrence blew up that big play on 3rd down in the second quarter there, right after the Zeke fumble, which forced Washington to kick a field goal. He also had a sack, and Randy Gregory had 2 sacks as well. So they played well. They were good between Randy Gregory and DeMarcus Lawrence. I thought they would play well, and they did play well in this one. So that's the good thing. But just like I said, those 4 plays, the fake punt, the CeeDee Lamb drop, the Ezekiel Elliott fumble, and the Zack Martin injury and Cam Fleming injuries just completely killed this game for the Cowboys. And I would say that's completely on Ezekiel Elliott for fumbling. That's on CeeDee Lamb for the drops, and also for not throwing the ball away when the play wasn't there in that red zone sequence. And it's on the coaching staff for, again, putting the Cowboys in position to fail instead of to succeed. And here's my biggest problem, and why I'd say this loss was the worst loss of the season. Because if you're going to go out and play hard against Minnesota and come back and all of a sudden have a purpose to the season with a chance to win the division with how bad the NFC East is, you have a chance to actually win the division. You still do, but you're going to turn around and lay that much of a stinker on, or lay that much of an egg at home on Thanksgiving on national television. If that's how it's going to be, then just tank. Because again, as a fan, and I'm sure whoever's watching can relate to this, you got your hopes up. You got your hopes up after that Washington game. You got that Minnesota game. You got your hopes up because now the Cowboys have a chance to win the division, or they're one win away from taking first place in the division, and they have a pretty easy schedule the rest of the way. They can, if the Cowboys from the Minnesota game were to show up in this game for the entirety of this game and the rest of the season, I don't see the Cowboys having a problem finishing 4-2. But because we saw the earlier version of the Cowboys from earlier in the season getting gashed in the running game, bad plays when the game was on the line, fumbles, turnovers, drops, and all that. And that's how the Cowboys just took themselves out of the game. And if that's how it's going to be, and if you're going to give up at that point, just tank and get a high draft pick at that point. Because that is just unacceptable when, again, and especially for Markus Paul. You had a chance to rally behind Markus Paul and you lay an egg and just suck that badly. Unacceptable. And I honestly, me personally, I let this game affect my mood way too much, because when the Cowboys were losing to Arizona, when the Cowboys were losing to Washington, and even in the Pittsburgh game, even in the Philly game, I'm thinking, look, Cowboys lost Dak Prescott. They're down Zack Martin in the Washington game, but they're down Tyron Smith, they're down Lyle Collins. The season's done, and they're playing like trash. Okay, at least the season's done, and we can just look forward to a high draft pick. But then again, just that comeback against Washington, you start getting inspiring fans and people watching with your play. Like, you start playing more inspired and like you actually care and like you actually want to win this crappy division. But then you turn around, just give up on yourselves, or just blow the game away and give up on yourselves. And if that's how it's going to be, just tank. You deserve to tank. And yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. I mean, look, I guess I could maybe get my hopes up if Zack Martin is okay. I mean, I really hope he is, but whether he's okay or not, if the Cowboys are going to play like that, that's unacceptable. It's unwatchable. And on top of being unacceptable, of course, but it's unacceptable. And yeah, if we look at the tank watch this weekend, we got the Atlanta Falcons. We have to cheer for the Atlanta Falcons over the Las Vegas Raiders at home. We have to cheer for the LA Chargers at Buffalo, which is a tall order, but I'm calling the upset in that one, hopefully. And we have to cheer for the Eagles against the Seattle Seahawks at home as well. And that would be another upset and a half. But hey, the Eagles, they beat San Francisco earlier in the year, so I guess anything could happen. And it's good that Houston, at least for the tank, that Houston beat Detroit, because now they're both at 4-7, while the Cowboys are 3-8. So yeah, happy Thanksgiving, of course, and yeah, I hope all of you stay safe, healthy, and well. But again, rest in peace to Markus Paul, and my condolences and sympathies to his family. And yeah, this has been a Cowboys. Langer at the mic, Cowboys versus Washington live post-game show here as usual. Give me a big thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to my channel. Give me a follow on Instagram and YouTube. Handles are in the link below. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and see you again next time.